Welcome back to the Glacier Gamble podcast. We are here with some awesome Venom news. We finally have some Marvel news to talk about. It's been a while. Obviously, it's just been nothing but Deadpool and Wolverine for who knows how long. Obviously, that's going to be super exciting, but we finally got something different, which is Venom 3, The Last Dance. Michael Jordan is coming out. It was the final or at least the first trailer for the movie came out. A lot of people are really excited about it, but there's also some people that are already trashing
There's
it.
a ton of question marks.
Yeah.
Just in regards to the cast, mainly. I think that's the biggest thing. People are like, "What are we doing? Like, what are we doing here?" And in regards to Sony and just their lack of continuity or their lack of any continuity or lack of a world. So yeah, some question marks there for sure.
It's I mean, we have not been shy about our dislike for Sony.
Sure.
I think we've been at least honest. We've said what most people have said, which is Sony doesn't really make good superhero movies. At least recently, they've just Madam Web was one of the worst, if not the worst superhero movie I've ever seen. Fan Four Stick's still worse in my eyes. I'm not even kidding. I would rather watch Madam Web
Hellboy
again.
2 is up there for me too.
But I do think part of it is going in with a certain mindset. Like, I think Carnage, Let There Be Carnage, showed us Venom and the creators of Venom, Sony and all that. They are not trying to do what people want. Like, people are expecting, they wanted Carnage to be rated R, ripping heads off, start getting gore in there, similar to like what Deadpool will provide, gore, swearing, all that stuff.
Sure.
The fact that they didn't go that way with the most brutal character in Spider-Man shows you that you shouldn't expect Venom to all of a sudden be like, all right, they're going rated R, they're going to start giving you what you want. I think if people go in with this, like, Venom is supposed to be kind of fun, like a
buddy cop is kind of how they
like a Guardians of the Galaxy style.
Sure.
And I think if you go in with the mindset of Guardians of the Galaxy, more this is kind of fun, not Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but
let's see some cool stuff.
Let's see some cool things and enjoy ourselves, but we're probably not going to get a ton of, violence and what you would expect from Venom necessarily, which doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be bad. But
I think in regards to Let There Be Carnage, it was almost with the success of Venom, obviously it being like the highest grossing superhero movie in November when it released, or October when it released, whenever it released, and then Joker beat it the next year. But it gave us a taste of what we can expect. And I think with them doing Let There Be Carnage, it lowered those expectations. And so like you view Venom as like a success, and it's going up. All right, the next movie is to build on this success. And it was cool in some aspects, but it also just as an overall story and where they decided to go with, say, Carnage or Screech or Scream or whatever the hell it was. Yeah. And Venom in general, it kind of was like not a letdown, but kind of a letdown, I guess. Because it's like, all right, you have something that Marvel doesn't have, like in their bank right now, and you can set your own like if you got the balls to do it, you can set your own niche and actually have success. And I think they missed that opportunity because they want family friendly. It needs to be fun for stuff, which you can still have fun, as you can see in like Deadpool and Wolverine or Deadpool, and still bring that like violence aspect. So I think they just missed. And I think now they're doing it too late with like Kraven the Hunter.
Right.
Which they're doing it a little too late. But yeah, I mean, I think the trailer, it's the same kind of tonal stuff that we've been seeing in the other two.
Right.
So
Yeah. We've kind of talked about that in the past, how Kraven almost feels too late for Sony, that they should have taken advantage of this earlier on. Um, I do think Venom has the chance to still be kind of cool. I think based on the trailer, what we saw was a potential Eddie Brock dying.
right.
They even have it in the poster that it's till death do them part.
Till death do you. Right, till death do you
To
part.
did
Yeah.
they part, but obviously that could just be making your expectations there, kind of like what Guardians of the Galaxy did, where you expected Rocket to die, and then it was like, oh,
Right.
who's gonna die?
Sure.
And it's like, oh, is Venom gonna die? And they say that his planet has found them.
Right.
Um,
Which makes you think my home has found us or something like that.
right. So
Um,
immediately I was like, all right, sweet, we're gonna see
no.
more symbiotes. Like this is what we've been waiting for, is like cooler symbiotes. Maybe Knull's coming.
Right.
And
You
then it's
see the
some,
detective that is Toxin. You see the detective is in like a containment cell,
yeah,
and he says they're coming for Venom, or as long as Venom's alive,
they're gonna
like
keep coming.
right, right.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because if they did something like Knull, we would be jacked for it. But
Right.
even if they did various versions of symbiotes, there's been so many in the comics, you could just stretch it out,
Sure.
do whatever you wanted. But instead, they did this weird creature that
Yeah.
like
It's like spider looking, Chitari looking.
yeah, it looks like the one from what is the Quiet Place.
Oh sure.
It looks like the creatures from
Looks like
Quiet
that
Place.
mixed with it looks like that mixed with the um oh god. Kind of mixed with like a sandworm
Yeah,
type thing from like the Mandalorian or something like that. And then like the movement is similar to like the when they attacked Wakanda, like all those like 4-legged, 6-legged things that were
sure, yeah.
things. So
It's weird. I don't know why I hope they do a better job, obviously, during the movie of explaining why this was what
right.
was representative of his home. We saw 5 symbiotes in like a lab that
Yeah,
were
like containment
suspended in
things. Yeah.
midair,
Right.
but again, one of them was out on the table and somebody was able to almost touch it.
That
Yeah,
was they want you to think that that's the same exact scene from the end of No Way Home, but the bar doesn't look like
it's not. It's
what
not on a
it,
beach. It wasn't
yeah,
on
it's not on a beach, right? Like behind Eddie was like sky and like outdoors, and then they're inside of a like inside of a bar, and like the guys got different clothes on, like the bartender's different clothes on, and it's yeah, I don't think it's the same thing, but I don't know how they explain that because they're setting it up like it's the same thing.
right.
And like that symbiote was like the symbiote at the end of No Way Home was like moving off, and I was like, "You're telling me it's at that same bar? Like it's at that same thing?" I don't know what they're doing with that too. It's like the whole
Yeah.
continuity and Sony thing. It's like, what are we doing
They have a
here?
lot of similarities with how Fox ran their MCU with the X-Men movies.
Right,
Where it's like First Class and Logan and all these or not Logan, Origins Wolverine.
right,
None of them were continuous. Like,
right,
oh, Cyclops is 12. Oh, Cyclops is 25. Oh, but
right,
it just that makes no sense.
right.
And I think Sony also, it's almost like they were fed the information later on and then they try to make it work, as opposed to what like MCU did with the Avengers saga, which is having, or the Infinity Saga, which was having it all planned out before it came into effect.
Sure,
And
sure,
Sony doesn't seem to have had those plans put together, which is
sure.
why you mentioned the cast.
Right.
What are they doing? You can, if you want to explain more to people why people are confused.
So there's two actors that are in the trailer that you see that have either been in MCU projects or have been in MCU projects, and as well as been in Sony like previous Sony projects. So that would be Reese. Is it Reese Ifans? Or am
That sounds
I?
about right.
I think it's Reese Ifans, the guy who plays Kurt Connors in Amazing Spider-Man.
Hmm.
He's in there. He has both of his arms. He has long hair. He's kind of like a hippie, it looks like. But Eddie's in that same van with him in the trailer. And then the main like military guy is Chiwetel Ejiofor. Hope I
Yeah.
pronounced
Yep.
that pretty close. The guy
Close.
who plays Mordo, right? Who plays Mordo in Doctor Strange and in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So I don't know what's going on. I would love. I mean, I would obviously love if that's Baron Mordo, and I would or Carl Mordo, and I would love if that's Kurt Connors. But it doesn't make sense if it's Kurt Connors if Eddie Brock is in that world with Andrew Garfield because in that world he has one hand and it just doesn't. I it's I don't know but also like No Way Home cured them before they went back, and if they went back to the point before they died and he cured him, he would have both of his limbs. I don't know. I'm hoping that the symbiote coming over to the MCU was agreed to by Feige, and then they were like, "All right, well, if we want this to make sense, you need to do this or something like that." And it's almost like I can help you set up for an Amazing Spider-Man 3, or I can help you set up for a Spider-Man 4, or whatever you want to do, but you have to listen to me, or you have to give me something. That's fine. Like, let us do our story. We'll help you do your story, or something like that. So
Yeah.
let us do our MCU Spider-Man story, and we'll help you do your story since you guys are idiots. Essentially, that's hoping
Right.
that's the case. But with Sony, I don't have high hopes. The only like I just have lesser hopes for Warner Brothers, I guess, in regards to what they do. But
Yeah, I would
yeah,
agree. Um, I do. So I agree. I also have pretty low expectations, which is going to help. Venom's one of my favorite characters, so
right,
I'm gonna buy the DVD when it comes out. I have the other ones. It's just I'm gonna
yeah.
end up
No,
doing
I mean,
that.
I
I
think
know
it's
I'm gonna like
sweet.
it, but I don't know. It's again one of those. Just like you just mentioned with all those the continuity and the actors clearly not really working with Feige or Marvel in general, or they're gonna hit us with it. I doubt it, but clearly
Yeah,
they're
I,
not really
I, I
working
doubt it's
together.
I doubt it's Kurt Connors
Right.
from that world, like that world. But if it is, like
Insane, yeah.
if it is, yeah, it's insane. If it is, it's insane. And Mordo is like hunting the symbiotes for power or something like that, or like I have no idea. Like
Right. Yeah.
if they got the balls to do that, and then like if at the end of the movie Eddie survives and he finally goes to New York or something, and he comes face to face with like Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker, and he's like, Peter, like,
Is it the
because
Mordo that was from the Illuminati?
yeah, I mean, yeah, there could be like I have no idea,
Right.
so um
But
yeah, and
even
he
if
comes
it's
face to face because he's in San Francisco. Eddie Brock went and he's a journalist in San Francisco,
right.
whereas Eddie in Tobey Maguire's was a journalist at the Daily Bugle as well. So maybe he left in this one. Eddie left and then he came back, but like he went to school with Peter. I don't know. And they come. It'd be sick if they just went face to face and they're like human. They're not Spider-Man and Venom. They're like Eddie Brock and Peter Parker.
For
You know
sure.
what I mean?
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that'd be cool.
Um, Speaking of what would be cool, so we've kind of talked down on it. Obviously, that's a lot of people's expectations are going to be low, but one of the things people are. I was surprised at how mixed the reactions were. I thought it was going to be overwhelmingly positive,
The
but
money shot.
with the horse,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Venom horse, like
Yeah.
we know Venom can take over
A
any
host.
host pretty much,
Right.
and
Well, you seen with the dog, right? Like he traveled in the dog
right,
to get to Michelle, I believe is her name in the first one. Like
yeah,
she used the dog to get to Michelle, yeah.
and
So
it's like it's sick looking. This like super cool Venom
Oh,
horse.
it's one
That's
of the coolest things I've seen. I think
yeah.
like it is cool, and if you think it's not cool, I don't know,
If you
man.
don't think
But
it's cool, I don't recommend going to the movie. Like
yeah,
you're already expecting to dislike it. You might as well not go and you don't waste your money because
you
it's
could argue that it is as cool as like okay, it's not as cool, but Carnage in the prison. Carnage in the prison, I think, was probably the coolest like sequence in the Venom trilogy so far.
oh
So,
yeah yeah.
um, but just it's up. It's going to be up there. I think that's one of the coolest things
Yeah, I think a
I've
couple of the
seen.
coolest scenes were in Carnage, Let There Be Carnage, which
Right.
is the prison, and then I honestly really loved the scene where he's in the bell.
Oh,
Um,
sure.
I don't know. There's something about the way the reaction and the way they did the CGI. I think it looks really really cool.
Sure.
And this just I feel like is very similar in terms of like you watch it and you don't necessarily get goosebumps. Maybe when I'm watching it in the actual movie and the soundtrack is there and they can work with it, maybe
Right.
that'll give you goosebumps. But it also gives you like the potential of are they going to be a little bit more loose with it where Venom takes over different things? Are we going to see more venomified,
I think
venomized?
what we're not thinking of either is so it showed the 5 symbiotes in those like containment cells.
Right.
But it also shows the detective that presumably has toxin, which right.
Mm-hmm.
So like we're gonna see toxin, like they're gonna have him suit up. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And that's gonna be insane. Like the
And
toxin reveal is gonna be insane.
Shriek died, correct?
I believe Shriek died. Yeah, I said Screech and Scream, right? So
Yeah.
Screech or
Shriek?
Shriek, yeah. So I believe so. Yeah, I believe she died.
Okay. Well, and Shriek again, that's wasted. Again, Sony wasted
Right,
Shriek because Shriek was pretty cool in the comics. Like,
right,
um, so I was gonna say like maybe it'd be cool to see Shriek back, but no, I'm pretty sure she's gone.
right.
I
Yeah,
don't know. It's obviously anti Venom would be very cool to see in this because if they're calling it the Last Dance, they have to. We have to assume we're not like this is the last time we'll see Venom in this Venom trilogy.
right.
Like we're not going to see Tom Hardy's Venom probably ever again.
Sure.
Maybe in like Secret Wars if they work out the rights for that, but
Right.
I don't know.
Well, what happens is Eddie Brock eventually gets cancer. I believe Eddie Brock eventually gets cancer, and I believe Venom is attached to Flash Thompson at that point, who is anti Venom or Agent Venom.
Yeah.
And then eventually Eddie has to get back to, or Venom has to get back to Eddie Brock to save him
Hmm.
from the cancer. So I
Which
don't know if
Tom
they did
Hardy looks
that,
like
but
he is just beat to shit in the
yeah,
trailers.
he looks like he's beat to shit.
So it
Yeah.
could be
So
that that storyline.
right.
Um I don't know. I hope to see Venom more than just the horse, but even if the horse is one of the few things we get to see, it's a cool little thing
It's
that
really cool.
it's
Yeah.
cool. It's just that's what I was meaning by like the go in with the mentality of this is just going to be for fun. This is kind of just don't consider it as like this big blockbuster MCU movie.
Right.
And I think people can really enjoy it, even if they go out of it and go like, "Oh, I don't ever have to really see that again." But it's one of
Right.
those you might be able to put on once or twice, and when you're at
Sure.
home, and it's like, "Oh, this is just an enjoyable movie. Let's put it on."
Right.
I mean, those.
I think kind of how my view is it is I'm gonna go to it. I have decent expectations. Like
Hmm.
I like the first two. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
like the
for sure.
arc. I don't like the arc they took with Carnage and killing him off. Like I wasn't a fan of that. But for the most part, like I think the movies have been pretty good.
Yeah, I
But
think killing
I'm going
Carnage
into
in one
this
movie would be like making a Batman trilogy and killing Joker in the first movie.
right. Yeah, and we've said that Sony's kind of dropped the ball on this whole SUMC like Sony Universe of Marvel characters,
Hmm.
but like they should have done if they were smart they should have done a Venom movie, they should have done a Venom versus Spider-Man movie, and then they should have done a Venom like Maximum Carnage storyline where Venom needs Spider-Man's help to beat Carnage.
Mm-hmm.
and just that's how it should have been. And it should have been Andrew Garfield's Venom. Like they had all those teases in No Way Home. Why would they do that? I've never fought an alien. I want to fight an alien. Like it's just I don't know. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
just a wasted thing by Sony. But
I agree.
yeah, I'm going into this movie with decent expectations, but also like back of my mind, like they can still succeed and set up their universe if they want to, but are they finally gonna do it?
Right. And
Because
I feel
again,
it's a very weird feeling because like it's like, yep, they could set it up. Or you go the X-Men Fox route where it's like, God, I'm kind of glad this is finally done, and I can't wait until they like start over with Venom and go the way we want it
sure,
to go. Like I'm
right? Like
fine
get
with it either way.
Feige with it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like Feige with Venom.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
So
like obviously I'd be fine with that, but I also really like Tom Hardy as
right, yeah.
Venom, and I've liked
I
most
mean,
of what
Tom
they've done.
Hardy, he enjoys it, and he's right around that same age range as Peter Parker, like or Andrew Garfield. So it's like a match made in heaven. It's just Sony doesn't have the balls to have a Sony universe of Marvel characters and also have a Spider-Man, even though they own the rights to Spider-Man. It's like
It's
you can do
weird.
it. You can do it if you want. Like
Hmm.
you have it just can't be Tom Holland because you have a deal with those rights
And
to Tom
clearly,
Holland.
fans
So
are fine if it's not Tom Holland. They are
yeah.
fans of Tobey Maguire. They're fans of Andrew
Oh, the
Garfield.
movie you brought up, or you brought back that had Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in it, made $2 billion. So
And like,
they don't care. Like,
as long as you don't end the movie with Topher Grace being new Venom, you're
right,
fine.
right, yeah. I don't know. I just think it's just at the end of the movie, if they just like have Eddie Brock and Peter Parker come face to face, and they're like, "Dude, like, how you been?" Like them like catching up, and then they say like Eddie Brock will return, and then all of a sudden you find the news that the Amazing Spider-Man 3 is coming out. Like they can do it. They can
They
do it.
they could do it.
They do that, and then they do their Sinister Six movie, and then
Or they release Venom 3, they have Andrew Garfield or Tom Holland in it, and then they tell us that it's not part of a universe
yeah, right. And
because
then they're like
Sony.
Craven.
And then they're like, Kraven will be next.
For what? What is this leading to? Why are we doing this?
Morbius shows up for some reason.
See, Morbius is in the same world,
Mm-hmm. Should
presumably.
be.
Like,
Yeah.
he goes, "Who are you?" And then he goes, "We are Venom." And then he's like, "Nope, Dr. Michael Morbius at your service."
Well, like,
So,
so for the most part, trailers give you a good glimpse of the movie. Sometimes if you watch a trailer and you go, holy cow, I got chills. A lot of the times when you watch the movie, it either completely fails your expectations or it absolutely like is a 10 out of 10, gives you chills. And this one, when I was done watching the trailer, I was like, I could see this going anywhere from like a 6 to
yeah,
an 8.
I have no idea where this movie's
I don't
going,
know
to
where
be
it's gonna
honest.
be.
Because I'm like, okay, yeah, all right. You hear the dub of Venom going like, my home, they found us, or something like that, or
Yeah.
my home is coming for us. You don't see Venom say that. So it could be, and Sony, Madam Web had my mother was hunting or was researching spiders in the forest before I died, or something like that. That was never in the movie,
Nope.
right? So you could have had that dub of Venom doing that, and that has nothing to do with the story. It could have nothing to do with that.
You're right. That
You
creature could
know,
just be from somewhere else, not even be
you
from his
see
home.
those like meteors falling. It could be anything. You don't. I mean, I have no idea. You can't tell me that that was a symbiote. Like they just have symbiotes control, like in containment things, but symbiotes come to Earth all the time, supposedly in this world. So you see Toxin, like the detective. No idea how that plays a part of this whole story.
Right.
Like he's in it though,
And we don't know the runtime of the movie yet. But
right?
with the amount that we have questions on already, if it's like the other Venoms where it's like an hour and a
Hour and
half,
a half, yeah, not enough
it's
to
not
explain what's
nearly
going on.
enough. Like if they
Right.
come out with the runtime and it's less than 2 hours, I'm gonna be nervous.
Yeah.
If
Right.
it's like right around 2 hours and 7 minutes, I'd be like, okay, they can do it. It's still gonna feel a little rushed, but they can do it.
Right. And they got some post credit scenes you can work with that can clear up a lot too.
Right,
So
exactly. They have plenty to work with that round 2 hour mark. But that extra 30 minutes, if you take it down to an hour and a half, it's gonna feel like, okay, there's still loose ends. You didn't tie it up. We're expecting to not see Venom again because of the title. It's
here's another
gonna be
sorry to interrupt
weird.
you.
No,
Here's
you're good.
another thing that I think could kind of break the internet a little bit. I think that Eddie Brock face to face with Peter Parker, and they're like, "Dude, I haven't seen you since like high school." You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I think that could break the internet, but I could also see like Venom like dying. I'm doing quotes even though you can't see me. Like dying, and
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh my god!" And then it's like somber music, and then all of a sudden, you like wake up in a lab, and it's like beep beep beep, right? And then you see Eddie Brock on a table, and Michael Morbius comes up, and he's like, "Eddie, how you feeling?" or something like that. That I think that would also break the internet
Right. Yeah.
if that
Absolutely.
happened. Like he because he knows of Venom. He knows of Venom. He's Nobel Prize winner. He does a ton of research, especially on like like certain blood diseases, which they could use as like they could do that as the storyline rather than cancer. Like you can change that up. You don't have to do that,
Right. You don't have to
um,
follow it.
but like, and he goes and he finds Venom,
Hmm.
and he like nurses him back to health. But I don't know. I think that would also break the internet too if you had like this thing. I don't know.
Right.
And then
And
Vulture shows up, and then he's like, "I think this has something to do with Spider-Man." Like,
right. And we don't know which Spider-Man still.
mm-hmm.
I also realized that I have had Venom behind me this entire time, so that's good.
Nice.
That's topical. Good. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be a Sony movie. Is going to be We're gonna have some WTF moments of that doesn't make any sense. Why are we supposed to believe that? But then because it is a successful product for them right now, it's part of the like Venom and Spider-Man are the only things so far that people have been like, okay, I can at least
Sure.
like there's a reason it's getting a third movie. Like you're not gonna get a
Right.
Madam Web 2.
Right.
You're not probably not
Right.
gonna get Morbius 2, but you're
Right.
getting Venom 3 for
It's
a
Morbin
reason.
time. I mean,
Um so I still think it's gonna be a movie that ends up being at worst decent.
right. I agree.
I'm going back to as long as it's 2 hours, as long as we
The
get some
only
glimpse of
concern,
Spider-Man, or like even if we don't know who the Spider-Man is, getting some reference to Peter Parker or Spider-Man is all I
right?
want.
I think the only thing that makes me nervous is the two casting choices.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, because just because. I mean, I have no idea how they're going to spin that to make it make sense for MCU fans if they do want to make it, like
Right.
MCU adjacent, I guess.
It's
But
interesting to use those actors when if you're
right,
are
and
you trying to make a point?
Feige wasn't like, no, like don't do that. That makes no sense. Like, or was Feige like, because that's why if say Cindy Sweeney comes and is like Black Cat in Spider-Man 4, there's a reason why they just did the switch up and made Madam Web just its own thing. It has no ties to anything.
Hmm.
Like it's just its own world. They switched that up.
It's just its
You knew,
own perfect movie.
yeah, exactly. Like there's nothing wrong with it at all. It's just peak television. But no, like Sony did flipped it at some point. Was like, we can't make this a part of anything.
Yeah.
We can't make this even a part of our like Sony universe of Marvel characters. Like we can't use this. So yeah, see that. That's funny. So yeah, I mean, that's what I'm nervous for. But like they also could. It has ties to the MCU if it is Mordo, and it has ties to the Amazing Spider-Man world, which is Andrew Garfield. So, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I think we've covered most of what I wanted to talk about in this. Um, I do think it's going to be a moment for Sony that they've been craving and that they've been craving.
I was gonna
Um,
say, if you were gonna do it, I was. So
I think it's one of those because if you want people to be excited for Kraven, you have to bring excitement back into
you have to
Sony.
have a Spider-Man in it.
Right.
Is if you have a Spider-Man in it, you're like, okay, they finally have you. You assume Craven's in this world,
Mm-hmm.
and you finally,
Mm-hmm.
finally they have some of the pieces that they need for their grand, Sinister Six movie that they've been wanting to do for 50 years. It seems.
Yeah.
So,
And it's in order to build that excitement, they have to do what is proven to work, which is take a previous product, in this case it'd be Venom 3, and build the excitement for Kraven. And
yeah,
by being a good movie, it does that. So
right.
all they have to do, it doesn't even have to really reference Kraven. It should in a post-credit, but in somehow if they can, or connect the Spider-Man to it.
Sure. Yeah, I agree.
But if they do nothing to do that, Kraven's gonna. It just basically guarantees Kraven's probably gonna bomb.
Right. Which sucks because it's R-rated and it looks good.
Yeah, that's the thing is we'll go see Kraven.
Yeah, we'll go see it.
Will the general public care about Kraven at all? Especially if the general public saw Venom and was like, okay, I'm kind of done with Sony Marvel movies because they've just had a run of Morbius, Madam Web, and now the worst Venom.
Right.
So I think they should hopefully have learned from a lot of their mistakes. But man, yeah, I'm a little nervous, but I still think it's going to be at least decent.
Sure. Right. Yeah, I agree. I think it is too.
For any of those watching, listening, waiting and watching and wondering why, let us know what you think. Do you believe that Venom's going to be good? Do you think it's going to be like Madam Web? Do you think it's going to be somewhere in between, like a Morbius and Madam Web? I mean, depending on who you listen to. I listened to a guy on the radio that said Madam Web was a top 3 Marvel movie. So, some people like their things, but want to remind people to like and subscribe to the podcast, any of our channels. Jocker Room if you like sports, Glacier Gamble if you like Marvel, and follow us on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. There's porn now, so come see us. And yeah, anyway, do you have anything to let the people know?
No, I don't. That's been a while, and I'm hoping there's more Marvel news as we go. I know that there's a couple Captain America reshoots, but it's not enough to warrant a long discussion on. But yeah, we're excited for Deadpool and Wolverine, and can't wait to see that. Let's see that a month and 3 weeks.
Excited, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, then we'll want to let you all know you look great today. G.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. Have no regrets, yeah,